Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another TI Live podcast evening. First of all, thank you so much for coming here. I know some of you live in town. I know a lot of you don't. It's massively appreciated. We're going to have a fun evening. Thank you as much to Renault for making this all possible. They opened this store this afternoon. I was at a press conference here at about 3 o'clock. Where we got all the details about what this is about. They have wheeled out this amazing thing and this exceptionally good thing. And we are grateful to everybody at Renault who has helped provide the venue, the cars, the food, the beer, the wine, the everything else. So thank you for them for that. And we have a podcast to get on with and to record. So we have a guest who will be sitting there in a minute. He doesn't need any introducing from either of us, but Dan is going to do it anyway.
I will. 2 BTCC championships, 97 BTCC race wins, 23 seasons in the BTCC, and a long career on television. It can only be Jason Plato. Round of applause, please, for Jason Plato.
Do not swear.
I hope there's gin in there.
Funny enough, there is. I can't drink. Well, I can have one glass of wine, but then I get the feeling I'm just going to go a bit wonky.
Yeah.
So I can drink.
You can go wonky on us. You're amongst friends.
I know.
Well, Jason.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Intercooler podcast, this live podcast. Thank you for being here. Have you had a good chance to have a look at this car behind us?
I have. And an old nemesis of mine, Ivan Muller. I think that might be his signature on the side there. I know he's done some testing.
It might rub off.
I think there's something else we'll put on it, to be honest. I know he's done a bit of mileage in this. And, we'll speak about rivals and friends.
Yeah.
And what rivals turn into. But I'm okay with the van now. And he says it's absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
He says mental.
And they're
going to make it on the road, aren't
they? They are. For the benefit of the recording, there is a Renault 5 Turbo 3E in the room, which is this fully electric, 550-odd horsepower lunatic of a thing. And yes, they're going to make them for the road, £135,000. They are going to build them for customers. Renault has a long history of building nutty hatchbacks for the road. The 5 turbos, the Group B cars from the 1980s, the Clio V6s of the 2000s. I think this is probably the maddest of the lot. I can't wait to have a go, and maybe you can loan us your long-termer.
Oh, of course.
But you've also been knocking about in that, haven't you? And I think that everybody who subscribed to TI knows that I'm not just saying this because we're in Renault's company this evening. That is the best car of its type that exists at the moment. If you want an affordable, small EV hatchback, it's that. It really is. Yeah. Do you concur?
Well, I saw this at Munich Motor Show maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We just started doing 5th gear recharge, which was
go on. Nobody's listening.
I'm a petrol head, okay, through and through. However, my opinion of electric cars changed after doing the recharge thing, because guess what? I slagged them off.
Yeah.
But I'd never really been in any of them. And when you get in some of the cars, I mean, the only one I liked until I sat in that was the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, obviously. But they're all a bit kind of, I think most of the electric cars on the market, they're like fridges, they're like white goods. They're dull, they're uninspiring. And I saw this four years ago, and it had a denim roof, and it looked knockout. And it was a bit concept car. I can't distinguish that from what I saw.
Yeah,
it's a great bit kit. Honestly, I know I've got a long history with Renault, and they're great friends. If it was shit, I'd say so, because that's the way I am. I loved it. I had it for 2 days, and I've been on to the people at Renault at the back of the room saying, look, I want a long term. Obviously, before that one. And
just to warm yourself up.
I think if you're in the city, it's a great bit of kit. Yeah, it's fun. Right. It's fun inside. It does what it says. It's cheap as chips, really. If you compare it to the EV market as a whole, I think it's great. And you can pull birds in it.
And you all know us, or know of us, all three of us, to know that we really are not just saying that.
Well, let's stick with Renault for a moment. You mentioned it yourself. You do have a long history with Renault. To what extent do you owe your professional racing career to Renault?
I owe a lot to Renault, but I owe an awful amount to, bless him, he's not here, Tim Jackson, who was the PR man when I started in Formula Renault in the early 90s. And we just clicked. And all the way through my single seater career, where when I ran out of money and my dream of Formula One went the other way, I mean, I would have been quick enough, but would I have been disciplined enough? I very much doubt it. Do you know what I mean? So actually, the right thing happened. But, Tim and all the people at Renault UK were always great supporters of mine. And, they tried really hard. I entered the One Make series, the Renault Spider series in 96.
But before that, you'd done, what do they call it, Formula Euro Renault or something? You'd won the championship in 91.
I won the Formula Renault European Championships, yeah.
And that was like sort of Formula 3 level?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah, kind of. So I was on my way. But what they didn't realise was, I talk a big game and I'm really good at telling lies about how much cash we had. And we didn't have anything. And eventually it was found out and I was fired from a Formula 3 team because guess what? The checks didn't arrive from me to them. And, that's the hard, cold reality of motorsport. And it's getting worse because the budgets are just they're ridiculous. I mean, when I was looking at a Formula 3 budget in 1992, it was £250,000, which was mental. And that was the best seat.
And what would that be today?
1.2 million quid.
For a season of Formula 3?
A season of
to buy your way in.
With hardly any TV. And yeah, it's bonkers. And, the country is littered with very, very tasty. I mean, you know Kelvin Burt, one of the best racing drivers I've ever sat behind and watched.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything now. Such a shame. But that's the hard facts reality of motorsport. It's. I have to be careful what I say because there's ladies in the room. But yeah, there's that great expression: "You're going to piss with the dick you've got," and motor racing is very much like that. Sorry to lower the tone, but I think you understand what I'm saying. It's a lot of it is about the kit, a lot of it is about the team you're with and their experience and the engineers. But that's not to say you can't get through that and find a way. But it's very, very difficult. Very difficult.
So Renault did hand you a lifeline after your single-seater career.
Very much, yeah.
With the Renault Sport Spider series.
Yeah.
1996, you won it. You won almost every race that season.
Yeah.
And that was enough to get you a test with Williams in the Laguna for the BTCC.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember when Tim Jackson called me up and said, "Oh, look, JP, do you fancy doing this Renault Spider One Make series?" I went to Tim, "Look, stop. I'm a Formula 3 driver." He said, "Well, you're not because you've got no money. So best have a look at this." But I was at a crunch point in my career where that was the crossroads. I either go down take a huge risk and go backwards a few steps, where if I won, everyone would say, "Well, of course he should do," but if I didn't win, then that was the end of it.
Yeah.
That was the end of my career.
So it was shit or bust for you.
It was shit or bust, yeah. I remember Tim saying, "Look, well, please look at it. We're going to put big PR behind it." And I was pushing away. And he said, "Just so you know, the winner of the series will get a test at Williams in the works, BTCC Laguna. And also, don't repeat this, but Will Hoy's out of contract at the end of the year, and he won't be re-signed. Not because he's done anything wrong. God bless him too. And there was a hole, and that's when I went, tell me more."
Yeah.
And it became a strategic thing.
And you didn't get the drive, did you?
No, I didn't get the drive. No. Well, I did in the end.
Yeah.
I want to hear that story. I read your book, How Not to Be a Racing Driver. And
and it's dead true, that.
The story.
Don't copy me, because it'll go wrong.
Yeah. But we'll come to that. But the story of how you were turned down, you did really well in the test, but there were two other drivers.
But they didn't get signed either, did they?
No.
So they turned down everybody.
Well, no, that's not strictly true. I did a test as part of winning the Spider Series, which was a bit of a PR thing at Silverstone.
Okay, so there wasn't any real intention behind it to give you a drive if the test went well.
There was from Renault's perspective.
Yeah.
Renault really wanted me to get in that seat, but it was Frank's decision.
Yeah.
And on paper, I didn't fit in with their plans. I wasn't well known. I certainly wasn't an ex-F1 driver, or in the case of Jean-Christophe Bouillon, their Formula 1 test driver. I remember going down and having a great meeting with Frank. I met Patrick and la-di-da-di-da. And I remember Frank saying, look, there's nothing you could have done, actually. Don't feel bad, but there really isn't a drive. You haven't got the profile, all that sort of stuff. And I remember leaving there. Well, I was full of hell. I just thought, this is shit. You know, what more do I need to do? And it stewed on me for about a week and a half. Plenty of booze. And I just woke up one morning and I thought, I'm not having this. So I marched down there, and because I'd been there like 10 days before, I mean, you never know. So every time, you know, in that situation arises, you put your best foot forward. And, you know, I made friends with the security guards on the gate. You know, I sourced up the 2 secretaries on reception. You know, and just made an impact with everyone. So when I've actually broke into the site, when I went to go and doorstep at Frank, and I literally did. I arrived there at 8:30 in it can only be described as a 90-day white Sierra with Noki tappets. If only it was my favourite colour, which is hearing aid beige. That's a great
That would have been it.
Or dog dick red. That's another great one. You know, I rocked up there and I waltzed in, and because I got through security, I got to the front desk and the girl said, oh, no, Jason, are you here to see Frank? And I went, yeah, I am actually. Yeah. Well, just have a seat. And I thought, I'm in. And then the Velociraptor, as we called Nicola, which is Frank's PA, marched down the stairs, I don't know, 10 minutes later and said, she said, you know, what are you doing? You can't. I said, well, look, please, can I see Frank? And she literally got, it didn't get heated, but I knew I wasn't welcome. And she let one gem out. Either she did it on purpose or it was a mistake. And she said, you wasted your time. He's not in today, and he's not until lunchtime. And Frank had you know, everyone's familiar with Frank's, his condition. He had an apartment up on the 3rd floor. It's still there to this day. So often he would be there overnight. Anyway, he wasn't. And she said, look, you wasted your time. And that gave me the opportunity to go, look, I need to recoil here, because otherwise I'll be arguing until 2030. And I said, well, look, please, can you let Frank know I've been and I'd like to speak to him? And she said, yeah, no problem. So I then went and jumped in my car and drove as if I was going to go out, but then did another right turn and parked it under a tree where I could see the security gate and reception. I thought, I'd just stay here. 3 hours I was there, waiting and smoking and calling my dad. And my dad said, well, I called a guy. You might have come across a guy called Mike Knight from Winfield Racing School.
No.
Well, a lovely English guy. The 2 brothers, Mike and Richard Knight, ran what was called the Winfield Elf Racing School in France. And they had one school at Paul Ricard and one at Magny-Cours. And up until that point, they had 27 Formula One drivers go through their school, and the great and the good. And I went through the school. So Mike was a great supporter of mine, knew Frank. Mike said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, but I've got to see this through. But then I spoke to my dad, and I got the other side of it. He said, mate, you just go for it. So I was okay. And then his car arrived at security, and off I went, chasing after him. And that was the day that changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is extraordinary.
And you got in front of Frank, and presumably he admired the chutzpah.
Well, I mean, I remember, I've still got the suit now, and it's a bit tight, if I'm honest, but I can get into it. And I had a briefcase, a nice little brown briefcase, and there was nothing in it. I mean, nothing. I thought I'd take it. And I remember the things you do. And I can remember running across the flower beds, because he kind of, for those who haven't been to Williams, where I was under the big oak tree, there's security over there, and then you come in and you drive past reception's over there, grass and ornaments and all sorts of flower beds and stuff. But from where I stood, it looked like Frank was turning right to go through a secret gate round the back. So I just took after him like Usain Bolt across the flower beds, only for them to do a U-turn and park on one of those little grass-creek areas. So from my perspective, it looked like the grass. So he was never going to park there. And I can remember looking at Frank from, say, I don't know, from here to maybe that back wall, a little further. And he's looking through the windscreen at me, and I'm running over the flower beds.
Would he have known who you were? Was he at the test?
Yeah. No, because I went for an interview with him 2 weeks before. for 10 days before. So he knew exactly who I was. And of course, security would have known I was there. So he knew I was there.
Yeah.
And he gave me this weird kind of look as if to say, what the fuck are you doing? But then I known I'd been clocked by Frank with my empty briefcase and me slightly overly tight green Italian suit. And I had to then go from a full-blown sprint to a casual walk in probably 6 paces, and it probably looked a bit crap, to be honest. So imagine what's going through a young bloke's head at this point. However, Hamish, his doctor, his nurse, his aide, was driving him. And I can remember landing at the passenger door, like staring at Frank, thinking, oh, fuck, they've got to get him out.
Yeah.
And that's it's no mean feat. And then Hamish opened the driver's side and then looked at me across the roof, and he had just this look on his face, which was friendly. And I thought, it's all okay, they know. Anyway, they got Frank out the car, they popped him in his wheelchair. And he hadn't said a word at this point. He just looked at me. He said, Jason, what are you doing? I said, Frank, please, can I have 5 minutes? He said, no, I'm busy. And they started to wheel him off. And I stood in front of him. And this way it went on for maybe 2 minutes. And I said, please. And I just begged and begged and begged. And in the end, he gave in.
Wow.
And that then preceded the most embarrassing moment of my life, where I didn't know, but next to where the reception desk was, there was a secret lift that only Frank used, tiny little lift. And Hamish then reversed him towards the girls have kind of looked at me and said, oh, you have doorstepped him. And Hamish then turned around and started to reverse him into the lift. The lift doors opened, and I've kind of gone, there's no way I'm getting in there. And he said, are you fucking coming or what? Genuinely, and excuse me for a minute, but I'm now in the lift here, looking at Frank. Frank's knees are touching mine, and Frank's head's there. Hamish is there, and Hamish has got this look on his face where he's about to let rip. He can't contain himself. That was awkward, to say the least. And then the little shit kept me outside his office for 40 minutes.
Quite right too.
Yeah. And Nicola came out, scowled. She said, "Oh, do you want a tea, coffee?" She said, "Yes." She said, "The kitchen's that way." I kid you not, because I'd obviously I've doorstepped and beaten the gatekeeper, and she wasn't very nice. She was frosty. And then I went in and I sat down. He said, "Look, you've got 5 minutes. What do you want?" And I'm just begging.
Did you have a plan at this point?
No. I'm flying complete freestyle. And I was dying for a wee, but I didn't want to leave the seat in case I missed my slot. Do you know what I mean? And I started to think, like, what am I going to say? And then you can't rehearse that. You just got to give it max. And I did, and I gave it max, and I even banged on his desk. I said, please don't give it to some failed F1 driver that's milking the gravy train the way down. Give it to some young lad who wants it. And he literally said, look, thanks a lot. And I could see he had just this look of warmth in his face. And Frank, as we know, Frank was a racer. He loved all that sort of stuff. Anyway, 2 weeks later, in fact, less than 2 weeks, just over a week later, I get a call from Frank saying, Jason, we've got a test at Snetterton next week, and we'd like you to attend. And it's between you and Christophe Bouillon and Gianni Morbidelli. You'll all get the same equipment. Fastest man will get the job.
And that was you.
And that was me.
Blimey.
Good on you.
You just wouldn't give up. That's the point, isn't it? You just wouldn't give up. But if Frank had not given you that time, not given you that test, what would have become of Jason Plato?
Well, it would have been a fighter pilot or a sex star. I think it's fair to say the country would have been safe.
Okay.
But I don't know. I would have been selling things or...
Not racing cars for a living, probably.
No, because I was at the end of my tether. I just had enough. I just thought, this is stupid, this game. What more do I have to do to get an opportunity? And it's like any, life's unfair at times, and it's a shit experience being a young racing driver. It really is, because 99.99% of people don't get the chance to do it. And I mentioned Kelvin Burt, but there's lots of other people in the industry. It's almost like it's like it's a drug, and I think it's fair to say we're all slightly on the spectrum. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it, or otherwise we would give in and go, "This is too hard." But a lot of the really talented lads keep going until their mid-30s and keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then realise, what am I going to do now?
So you were, what were you? You're sort of like 28 when you got that drive?
Yeah, 29.
So clearly the F1...
Well, actually, there's a bit of a story about that. I was actually 30, but the team thought I was 29.
Okay.
and they knew, because we went testing one day after I got the drive, like private jet, first private jet I've been in. I'm like, this is mint. But you had to hand your passports in to team manager.
Yeah.
And he clocked it. And he waited until it was my 30th birthday. So I was 29, but he thought it was 28. And he took a double page spread out in Autosport, and he found a picture of me looking a bit perplexed. And he said, oh, this man's got a problem. He can't remember his birth date. Happy 30th.
Rumble.
Yeah.
So, but that led to your debut in the BTCC and 3 seasons with Renault and Williams in the BTCC, won a bunch of races. Was that the best era? That super touring era, huge teams, Williams, TWR, others, big budgets, big sponsors, big salaries.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. The best cars?
Trick cars.
The cars were trick.
Yeah.
Their cars were light, they were nimble, they were very high-techy. I mean, Williams, we even developed some stuff for the F1 team to do with fiddle brakes. I won't bore you, but it's mind-warping. And we developed this, and then we said, well, can we use this? And then it was banned immediately because word got out. It was great. You know, there was enough budget there where they could do things properly. And they weren't scrimping and saving. And the cars were brilliant to drive. I mean, they were hard to drive. There was lots of grip. The tyres were phenomenal. There was a tyre war going on between 2 manufacturers.
I was going to ask, because you come out of a history of single-seaters, purpose-built racing cars, and going into front-wheel drive cars based on production chassis. I mean, obviously, you know, by that stage, the F1 dream was gone. What was, I mean, did but you still enjoyed, despite that history, still enjoyed driving these production-based front drive cars?
I did, but even though they were production-based, they bought, you know, there's no resemblance to, you know, the shell of the race car. I mean, I can speak candidly about it now. They're all a bit bent, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, the roof was slightly cut down, and we're talking millimeters, you know, out of the A, well, not out of the A, but out of the B and the C pillar, just to put the rear wing 2 mil up in the air. That was the level of detail. But they were space frame cars, and the shell didn't really form any structural part of the car. It didn't form any rigidity, really.
It was just something you had to cart around with.
It was a thing we carted around to make it look like a
road car.
A road car.
So it's almost a silhouette formula.
Exactly, yeah, it was, yeah. And the engines, you know, back in those days, were normally aspirated engines, 2 litre. Ours were tuned by Sedamo in France. Really good operation, but we were pushing them to the edge. And, you know, the regulation said 8,500 revs, no more. So, of course, our engines were, everything was tuned to 8,500 revs. If I did 8.7 on a down change, it's fucked.
Game over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's broken. If I did it, and then it's like I'm called up in front of the big boys and given a right rollicking. 200 revs over. It's very easy to do, this 6-speed sequential box. 8.570, you damaged it, and it won't be as good for the rest of the race. Everything was fragile.
Yeah.
You know, the tyres were really peaky. You know, wheel bearings would get to the end of a race. You know, everything was right on the edge. And that made it great fun and interesting and very challenging for a driver. Now they're like tanks now. I know why, because the budgets back then, you know, that my final year at Williams in 99, the budget was, this is excluding tyres because they were paid for direct by Renault, excluding engines because that was picked up directly by Renault, excluding driver salaries because that was picked up directly by Renault. The budget was 15 million quid to run 2
And that was
cars.
15 million quid in 1999.
Yeah, which is a lot of money. So consequently, the series just imploded.
Of course.
It wasn't sustainable, was it? That rule set.
No, and also, you know, the industry went through a big turning point where, you know, Renault, Nissan joined forces, Ford joined forces with Volvo. So they were never allowed to compete against each other. So all of a sudden you've got half as many manufacturers, and it just got ridiculous. And one by one they went, we can't afford this. And it was great when it was like 8, 9 manufacturers. It was fantastic, but yeah, it did get, it had to come to an end. It's a shame because it was amazing formula.
So in 2001, then you won your first BTCC.
Did you mention about my debut in the Renault? Did you mention that?
I was going to come to that, but if now's an opportune time,
were you going to say that on my debut I got the pole position 3 times in a row and beat the world's, well, my teammate, the world's finest touring car driver in the world?
It's in here.
Pole position.
You did. Yeah, David. Where was it?
that.
Donington Park.
Hey,
Was it Donington Park?
it was, yes. And were you also going to mention that on my 3rd pole? I'm now wandering around the paddock thinking I'm King Dick, and I saw it on the grid.
You stalled it on the grid?
Oh yeah, it was Silverson, yeah.
But that is
mistake.
extraordinary. And do you know, I will come back to that because I want to ask you a specific question about that. But you won your first championship actually with Vauxhall in 2001. And I believe you were fired from that drive the same day.
Yes.
How does that happen?
It's called politics.
I want to hear that story
Or it's
specifically.
called me being an arsehole.
Yeah.
Or a mixture of both. It was politics.
And do you, on reflection, does the politics add some enjoyable drama and fun to motorsport, or would you rather be away with it altogether?
One of the reasons why I wanted to retire is I'd had enough of politics.
So it didn't go away over all those years that you were doing it?
No, because I understand the value of it. I understand to be involved, and there's 10 races, 10 events a year, which go from April to mid-October. So we got a lot of spare time. But guess what? It's in my mind running around the moment I go to sleep and the moment I wake up. It's there 24 hours of every single day. And it needs to be like that, otherwise you miss tricks. And so it's never ending. And the problem is when you get a bit older and you've been around the industry and the game so much and you really truly understand it, I just can't be asked to brown nose anymore and play the game. I just it's ridiculous. So I was actually making it hard on myself by not being slippery and I just couldn't be asked.
But did you understand in 2001 where you went, here you go, guys, here's a championship, and they went, thanks, Jason, see ya?
Well, I knew it was coming because I'd broken the rule in my first year with Vauxhall.
Which was?
Well, which was they had a contract with Ivan Muller on a multiple year contract, and I said to him, look, I don't mind being a number 2 to Ivan in year 1. But that means if we're right at the end of the championship and he's slightly ahead, when it becomes mathematically, not impossible, because that's ridiculous, but when it becomes mathematically unlikely I'm going to beat him, of course I'll support him. And that was those were the contractual terms I signed. And year 2 would be all bets are off. I was leading the championship going into Thruxton, and they made me pull over for a van. And I did it.
And you did?
I did it because guess what? I'm being paid to be there. I'm an employee. But I didn't do it very nicely. And I was like...
Did you do it quite visibly?
It was extremely visible, yeah. I was about 8 seconds in the lead, like kicking everyone's ass. And last lap, I came out of chicane, put my indicator on and literally slowed to a crawl and started waving. And then took off after him again. And that went down like a lead balloon because Vauxhall were unaware of that. They were unaware that was going on behind the scenes.
And it makes them look silly, doesn't it?
Well, Vauxhall were furious at the team. So then I've put myself, I'm now on a limb. And it was all to do with the contractual clauses which Ivan had in his contract, which said that if his teammate did beat him, there will be a financial penalty. And we're not talking about 20, 30 grand. We're talking big numbers. And, in the 2001 series, there was all sorts of bad stuff going on. Lawyers were at races. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Best man won, obviously.
Clearly.
So you were, here we go, I told you we'd come back to it. You were fast right away in a go-kart, up against some future F1 world champions, in fact. Fast right away in single-seaters. Fast right away in touring cars, as you say. Pole from your debut, which is remarkable. Now, I'm sure you're proud and grateful for the career that you did have. I'm sure we've all been hugely entertained by the British Touring Car Championship. But did your talent actually deserve the world stage?
Arguably, yes, but... Well, definitely yes, but I go back to what I said slightly facetiously earlier. I'm not a go to the gym sort of bloke. I'm maverick. I say what I like. And back in my day, all the drivers which were getting there, they weren't me. They were homogenised. Not saying they're not brilliant drivers, but they were just not real, and it was all bullshit, and it was all saying the right things to befriend this bloke, to befriend that. That's just not me. So, would I have been disciplined enough to go to the gym every day? Without a doubt, no way. Would that have impeded my performance? Without a doubt, yes, it would have done. And if you think back to when, okay, let's go back to Senna. He moved the game on considerably with personal health and diet and all the rest of it, and commitment. And then Schumacher came along and moved it on again. And, Schumacher, Michael, was a contemporary of mine in karting. And literally on his day, and he didn't have many in karting, but when he had his purple patch, we best go home. And it was only a little bit. It was like 2/10 a lap, but you couldn't find it. He just had something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he truly was extraordinary. And as he went through his career, he managed to find the location of that purple patch, and he could pull it out more often.
Yeah.
He just found his thing, and he was extraordinary. Would I have been as good as him? No, because I wasn't disciplined enough to go there in the gym and, eat quinoa and mung beans. I mean, fuck off.
Did you ever, when I was sort of looking through your career highlights, and there have been no shortage of them, I was surprised to see that you've no history in sports car racing.
No.
You've never been to Le Mans.
No.
Did you ever, and you did 23 years in the BTCC, did you ever think about changing tack and going off, even occasionally going off and just doing something completely different? And do you not now look at that and think, well, maybe you still have plans to do Le Mans? I don't know. That there are some races out there which I'd really love to have done, but didn't.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
One of the problems, especially speaking about Le Mans, I desperately wanted to do that. But pre-qualifying back in those days got in the way of BTCC. I was the big fish, a big fish in a small pond, earning more than anyone else, and I was quite enjoying that lifestyle. Thanks very much. Yeah. And I'd built a career in the marketing world around my motor racing in BTCC. And I did some racing in the World Touring Car Championship. Andy Prio's a very fine, incredibly good racing driver. Yeah. No one knows who he is.
Yeah.
And that's where the brass is. And I'm motivated by nice things. I like to live in big houses, and I like a hot tub and all that sort of shit. And guess what? Andy hasn't got those, or didn't have back those. And I was in such a good place where I, developed this character of mine, this persona as being, Dick Dastardly of motorsport.
Was it a persona?
It was a persona, yeah.
Was it an act?
A certain element of it was, yes. It was an
You knew what was expected of you.
It was an embellishment. I mean, I'm a bit naughty. I'm a bit maverick. And I want it to be honest. I want it to be genuine. Because that's how I want to live my life. And I realised that actually there's more mileage in this, which means a longer career. Because, don't get me wrong, we'd all of us, would do it for nothing. Because we love it. But the moment
that is the motivation. So you're not one of the, because there are some drivers I know who aren't actually that interested in cars. What they want is to win. And the car is merely the, in inverted commas, vehicle.
Yes.
Which allows them to do that. But you genuinely and clearly always have just loved cars.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, we would do it for nothing because we love it, And I mentioned about being slightly autistic. I mean, I know I am because I've done the tests and stuff. It's the most important thing in your life, and it's a passion, and it's something which, I mean, Ben Ainsley or that amazing woman who sailed the South Pacific on her own,
Ellen MacArthur.
I mean, for goodness sake, that woman's off a rocker, is she not? But she's not. She just loves that.
So it
seems alien to us.
Yeah.
But the problem is, once you then get into this commercial world that motorsport I turned it into for me, you don't want to let go of that. And if it's going well, you keep going. So that ultimately hindered me doing other things like Le Mans. But to answer that question, I'd love to do it. I'd love to do Le Mans when I grow up.
Would you say that actually, as you say, being on that spectrum, being slightly autistic, has actually helped you in your career?
Without a doubt. Nearly everybody I know in my world, and we're talking about, F1 designers, aerodynamicists, engineers, technicians, other drivers, business people, golf people, chefs, everyone I've met that is really successful in their world, they're all on the spectrum. Not one isn't. Yeah. And I honestly believe, and there's also a lot of people who are on the spectrum which have got too much spectrum, and it hinders their daily life because they can't look people in the eye or whatnot. And I know a great deal about this because my eldest daughter is on the spectrum with lots of different acronyms that have been labelled at her. And she's just on the right side on the edge of being, that could be too much. But all of those who have been incredibly successful and are considered to be legendary in their field, whether it be a businessman or a golfer or whatever, they're all off their rockers because it gives them focus and it gives them a special power to get up, single-mindedness to get up. I mean, can
to block out all the other stuff.
I mean, okay, let's throw something around that. Luke Littler, incredible talent. I mean, do you think he's neurotypical? How can he be? He throws darts. He throws arrows at a dartboard for 20 hours a day. Or, look, okay, maybe that's bullshit. 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And he's done it for 15 years of his life. He's off his rocker. But guess what? That's what gives him the edge.
That's what it takes.
Because that's what it takes to be really good at what you do. Same with anyone who plays a musical instrument. The best, they're often quite clunky people. And honestly, I think it's a gift. How many people do we know which are that are number blind or word blind? So many gifted people, so many successful people.
Jackie Stewart, famously.
There we go.
Yeah.
Richard Branson. It is a gift. It just means that these people, my brother is one, they look at the world in a different way.
In a different way, yeah.
It is a gift, and it needs to be recognised as such.
I'll never forget. I'm an only child. You might know. It might be obvious. It might not. I don't know. But I can remember my mum was we used to love jigsaw puzzles when I was a kid, and we had a way of doing it. And that was, you'd sort them all out. We'd have middle for diddles, and then we do the edge pieces. And you get 4 little corners, they go to the side, and you build the edge first. And then off it would go. And you put colours over there and another colour there. Well, I started doing jigsaw puzzles before we knew about Mylena. Well, she was about 4 or 5 years old. And she was having none of that. She said, no, I don't want to do it that way. And I'm like, I know, but Dad's an expert at this.
Yeah.
And she said, well, no, I'm not doing it that way. And literally, I remember sat watching, she'd literally go, and it was like she was a witch. It was witchcraft. And it's because she sees the world in a very different place to what we see the world. Even things like, it might take her a week to recognize something she's seen and to articulate that. So, for instance, I know we'd have some friends come around and say on a Sunday, the following Friday, she'd go, oh, do you remember his shoes? You remember Rob's shoes? I go, what are you on about? And it would be literally tangent. I go, no, do you remember the buckles, right on the edge of the buckle? She would notice some detail. But it took 5-6 days for it to go through the process. Yeah. And literally, I remember a few years going, she's a bit mental. But it's just the way she sees things. And actually, we could all learn a lot. From the, in the weird world of F1, you'll know this, Sandra. In fact, you will, Dan, too. In Williams, they have a whole department where they try and employ autistic, non-neurotypical thinking people in the aerodynamics department to just think outside the box.
Absolutely.
It's very clever.
And guess what? They're the geniuses. Because they're not constrained with with the way the world is.
Process and the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
that everybody,
absolutely, yeah.
They're the ones
Yeah.
who can come at it from
Yeah.
a completely different direction that would never even occurred. for
Absolutely,
anybody
yeah.
else to.
Well, in fact, if you're neurotypical and you came up with that idea, they'd march you out of the building. Do you know what I mean?
One thing you were never really during your BTCC days was a championship driver, right? And what I mean by that is it was not your focus. Alain Prost would, the professor, he knew exactly what he had to do to win that championship, and he just had to finish 5th in that race, and he would do that.
So that's interesting because Prost was a big inspiration for me.
Really?
But I didn't. But I'm not wide like he is.
Yeah, it's a different approach, isn't it? And you can see it in your career stats. 2 championships, exceptional, but there are guys out there with more.
Yeah.
But 97, maybe 98 race wins.
97.
90, we'll call it 97. Far more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think this is because you view the job of a racing driver to win races.
Absolutely. I'm not there to come second. I'm there to win. And that's, I can be honest about this. With a bit of bad luck, get rid of that. I would have had 8 championships. Had I settled for second.
You finished second or third in the championship 11 times, often by just a few points.
Can I make my killer stat? Can you remember how many BTCC races you did?
Not a clue.
I think it's about 650. What I do know is that in any given BTCC race you did, there was a 1 in 3 chance you'd end up on the podium, including all the ones you retired from, all the ones that were in shit cars. You finished on the podium in more than a third of the BTCC races you ever did, which I think is extraordinary.
Pleased with that?
Above average. Yeah, do you know what? I'm proud of that, actually. I'm proud that every year we went to, for the majority of my career, every year we went to the final races of the year. I was in with a shout.
Yeah.
And arguably I could turn around to myself, which of course all drivers could go, well, had this not happened, had that not happened. But generally, if I was second and there was a sniff of a gap, I'd have a go. And it often it didn't work. And that would be bang, DNF, broken car, whatever.
Yeah.
Just the way I'm wired up. I'm there to win.
Yeah.
And I can't. Whereas, Colin Turkington is a good pal of mine. He drives very differently, very skilled, very natural, beautiful driver. But he's quite happy with the 3rd place. He's happy with the 4th. I think he's off his rocker. Do you know what I mean? Like 4th is 3rd loser, 2nd's 1st loser.
But if you're in a car which isn't capable of winning, and if you get that car as far up the grid as it's ever likely to go, is there not a certain pleasure in that, or are you still pissed off that you didn't win?
There's a little bit of pleasure, but I'm still pissed off that I didn't win,
Yeah.
And that's probably to do with my upbringing in karting, the way my dad is, and the way we went karting. That winning is everything. I don't subscribe to this view that it's about taking part. Oh, fuck off! It's not. It's about winning. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're playing tennis or tiddlywinks or cards, mate, it's a competition. I might be wrong, but that's how it feels to me.
That's how you view it.
Yeah. I mean, you see this little chip from my tooth?
Yeah.
That's from Bathurst.
That was a good circuit, wasn't it?
Oh, is that good? Yeah. It's just me and Mark Skaith at the hotel on the Saturday night playing the game. You walk with 2 bottles and you try and get one further up the road than the other. I'm like, on the bottle. But he was as wild as, it's about winning, and that's just
Everything.
You probably
Yeah, it
need
is,
that,
yeah.
don't you? You need to have that drive, certainly to win 97 BTCC races.
Yeah.
You really do.
yeah.
Can we talk rivalries? You've had a few. You've mentioned Ivan Muller.
Yeah.
Was Alan Menu, was that a rivalry or a...
Do you know, it was a rivalry, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I have enormous respect for Alan. He taught me, I was taught by the best, because, when I joined in 97, he really was sublime. And not just, when he was in the car, or the way he interacted with his engineers, or the way he read the data, and just not all of that, but just the way he operated outside the car. God, he was tricky. And he would, and him and his wife, his wife back then, Caroline, they just play a really tricky game, and you need to be right on your game to understand it. And that was my first exposure to that. And I learned a lot from that, actually. I'll be forever grateful. But he was sublime. I mean, really a genius in the car.
And the real rivalry, though, was Mr. Matt Neal.
Well, Ivan was a pretty big rivalry. I mean, Ivan is an incredibly talented human being in a racing car. But as a human being, he's an absolute arsehole.
Okay. And if Matt Neal walked in through that door now, he's not going.
You give him a big hug, wouldn't you?
But ironically, I don't know if any of you saw the interview which me and Matt did with my great mate Johnny Smith on his late break show. Honest to God, I set that up with Johnny, and my motivation to set that was to pull in all the strokes at Willie's because it's my patch. There's pictures of me around, my car's there. And there was still a bit of animosity there. And bless him, Johnny put that to bed, actually. And we spent all day together and we told ourselves a few truths. Well, you know what? I was a bit of a shit then. I shouldn't have done that. And he fessed up to a few things. And actually, you know, the last no one will know this, but, you know, the last 3.5, 4 years of my life have been a bit shit, to be honest. And out of all, I mean, basically, I don't like any racing drivers. I'm not there to be friendly. I'm there to win. And there are a few exceptions, like James Thompson, Fabrizio Giovanardi. I'm very, very good pals with them. But most of them, I'm just not interested. And I'll go out my way to push them away. But actually, when Matt found out what was going on in my personal life, he generally reached out, like genuinely did. And we're actually, we're good pals now. So sorry to dispel that myth. I mean, he's still a tall streak of piss, obviously. but we're actually good mates. And do you know what? I'm pleased with that because we've shared a bit together.
But it brought something to the BTCC for all those years, didn't it? That rivalry, bit of needle between you. It was good fun for all of us watching.
And we did rev it up a bit, but
course.
generally it was true.
Yeah.
We didn't like each other. Mm. We didn't like each other. And there was lots of hijinks. I remember we were racing at Mondello Park and Steve Neely's dad, which actually was the root of all evil, actually. Steve was he would wind up Matt. And they were complaining about something. And we were taking the mick about something. Technically, we'd found a loophole. And they were kicking off. But they had no evidence. And I love a bit of a practical joke. I shot off to Mothercare in Belfast, in Dublin on a Saturday night. I bought a pram and a load of toys. And then I was there first thing in the morning, and I just put it before the garage doors opened, pit lane side, put the pram over and put the toys out, and just waited out there with my photographers. And they obviously the garage doors out. I said, "Oh, toys out the pram, are they?" Steve went orbital.
No sense of humour.
No. And that was just one. There was nearly every weekend there was something going on behind the scenes. That was, a bit kind of rubbing the nose in. I mean, do you remember when Matt Neal had a fire at Silverstone? And he mumbled about Silverstone was the penultimate race, and he had a little pop-off at the marshals publicly in the press that they weren't fast enough. One marshal fell over. He was a bit overweight, but without them, we don't go racing.
Yeah.
And he had a right pop at them. So me and my business partner went, ooh, there's an opportunity to turn the screw. So we, with my association with Tesco, we organised them a proper packed lunch at Brands Hatch the following race, held a big huddle down at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend, got them all, and gave them all a 15 quid voucher. And we got them all to shout at the top of their voices what arseholes the Matt Neals were. That was the level of angst which was going on. So it's good fun. It was a bit naughty at times.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, Gow loved it. Alan Gow, who runs the series. But guess what? ITV loved it more than Gow did. Mm. And ITV, that famous where, I had my helmet on, he wanted to punch me. And I was egging him on. Wouldn't it be? Because I knew that'd be it. He'd be out. And we got called into the bus with Alan, and we both got fined 10 grand for bringing the sport into disrepute. And then as we left there, the ITV people said, "Oh, that's great. Can we do it again?" And we're like, "What? Are you gonna pay my fines?" So yeah, but there was a bit of revving up, but by and large, it was Problem is, there was me and Matt, by and large, knocking lumps out of each other every race weekend, and we were always on the TV. So, of course, the focus was with us. But honestly, the driving further down the back of the grid, mate, was in a different league. So dirty, so non-professional. What we were up to was just a bit of a professional foul every now and then, just a rub and a tickle. But because it was on the TV all the time, we got labelled as being fruitcakes.
Yeah.
Do you buy that? Well, you don't, I know. Do you buy that? But it's true. It generally is true.
Time is...
Yeah, so yours was a long career in the BTCC, as we know. You started at 28, or was it 29?
29.
And you raced on in the BTCC until your mid-50s. I just wonder, what changes in that time in you as a driver? Where do you improve? Is there any decline?
That's Basil Expedition. Oh, that's been bum. I'm not answering that. she's heard on the grapevine I've done some.
You'll be in trouble.
What changes, you say? The passion of being in the car, that's unwavered. Yeah, you've done enough time in beautiful cars and race cars. You've raced. On the green flag lap, when you got a chance to just clear your mind, and everyone clears the grid, and you got one up to get everything all sorted out. It's a beautiful moment, and you almost teleport yourself into a different place, and your heartbeat slows down. You go through the system, and you just get totally tuned in to what you're doing. That never leaves you, and that's lush, really, truly lush. Arguably, definitely, your reactions are slowed down a little bit. You might get overthinkative about it. When you get a young kid who picks up a golf club, he just swings it naturally. It's ugly, but guess what? He whacks the ball. And then you get some 50-year-old bloke who's been playing golf all his life, and he thinks about it. And you just lose that. I think you just lose that innocence rhythm, which you found, which works. And then you overthink it, and then you have a few results which aren't as weighty, and you start pushing a bit harder. And you just lose that lovely riding the wave, and you end up, you smash into a wave. And oh, shit. And you overthink it. And I think to a certain degree, if we look at Lewis Hamilton now, I think that's probably what's happening to him at the moment. He can certainly drive a racing car faster than anybody. But he's not going with the waves. And I think you naturally would do that if you're a bit younger.
So are you one of those drivers who once they stop, stays stopped? Or are you one of those drivers? Because, I can remember, Jackie Stewart just found the idea of racing after he retired because it would never be at that level again. Completely anathema to him because why would you? Why would you take those risks when you'd already achieved everything? And then there are other drivers that we could easily know who just raced on and on and on in anything they could get into because they just love racing cars.
Do you know what? I think I am like that, actually. I am like Jackie. She's been a right pain, isn't she? Should we see what it is, just to see? Hello? Hello? Hello, this is an important information thing. I'm blocked them all from doing that, but apparently I haven't. Not about that.
That's all right.
Do you know what? I think I'm in the Jackie Stewart thing. I've not after retiring from BTCC, which was my choice. I've done a few little historic races and some lovely cars with some great power.
I was going to ask you about that.
There were sponsors and racing at Goodwood in that big block Corvette Stingray, which is my great pal of mine. It frightens the living daylights out of me. It really does.
Is that more fun than a front drive 2 litre BCC?
Without a doubt. It's a different mindset. BTCC is a job.
Yeah.
It's very, very data driven. There's no emotion. There's no fun. Because we block that out with
It's interesting. It's not fun.
Well, it's not fun because I don't allow it to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm there to do a job.
Yeah.
And my relationship with my engineers and the team is very different to what it would be if I was racing, say, Goodwood, because we're having a giggle.
So you'd still do a Goodwood?
Oh, without a doubt, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It scares the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, good. It should.
Yeah, and it should.
Yeah.
But competitively, I've got myself in a potential sticky situation with the MSA actually because I've not applied for a race license for 2 years.
I think they'll let you have one.
I think they might do. Well, I hope so. Otherwise, I know where they live.
They've moved.
And you know what? I've had it, like I said, I won't go into it much, but I've had 3 really shitty years, mentally, and with lots of stuff that's happened. I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. I had some offers to go and race at Goodwood in some Larry cars. I just thought, you know what? I'm not feeling it. And the last thing you want to do is get in a hairy ass.
If you're not in the right frame of mind to do it.
You're not totally in tune with what's going on, because stuff can go wrong very quickly there. And, mortality, even though I've never thought about it at all, I lost my cousin in a touring car, Keith at all. So, death and destruction has been around. I've never thought about it ever. I do think about it now because I want to make the right choices, and I don't want to not enjoy it and believe myself at risk. I also got 2 girls,
Yeah. So
here's a question for you. My eldest daughter, she's not long turned 17. Do I teach her to drive a car, or do I stay well away?
Okay, so I was telling you teach her to drive a car,
and
then a driving instructor teaches her how to pass a test.
So that's the options. Oh, well.
That's what I did. I taught my children how to drive cars, and then instructors told them how to pass tests. Yeah. And they're not the same thing.
No, but I want to do it the other way. Because remember, this is my tricky eldest daughter who will turn around and say, at any moment in time, in your opinion, Dad? Don't hold the wheel like that. Well, in your opinion.
Yeah.
So I've just decided it's the best thing to do. Let the driving instructor, and once she gets the test, then I'll take her up to Silverstone or wherever, and I'll teach her how to drive properly. But even then, I'll get a bollock in that. What do you know? You know what I mean? I say, well, actually, probably not much now.
So you've had a tricky few years, but I feel you're coming out of that now.
Yep.
So what's next and why?
See, now, there's a really massive announcement coming up on Sunday morning live on the box. It could be that I've been living the life of a transvestite for all these years. That's unlikely. Oh, can I say that these days? You can't talk like that.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
So anyway, I've decided I'm not going to say anything tonight, because you know what? This social media thing's a bloody nightmare, and I don't know many of you. In fact, I know hardly any of you, and I think I'm not to trust you. Because what I'm about to say on Sunday is pretty groundbreaking stuff. JP's back, but he won't be in a car. I think we'll leave it at that.
You can't give us. You can't give us a hint of it, or what has brought you to make this decision? And
yeah, I can. I mean, it's quite a topical subject at the moment, and probably dear to all of us actually, with the people we know in our lives and stuff. That us blokes are pretty shit at speaking about stuff, and us blokes who have lived a life of being involved in motorsport, where from a very early age I've pushed emotion into the camp as the enemy, and it generally is. Motor racing, the way I think in the cars, is all up here. It's a thought, it's cognitive, it's data, it's yes, no, maybe it's bad, yes, no, black or white. Do I do that? Do I jump down the inside? Yes, no. It's like that. And any emotion I allow into that thought process generally fucks it right up. So ever since I was 12, 13 years old, kind of schooled by my dad and stuff, emotion is the enemy. And when you're used to dealing with that, and you become really very adept and actually pretty skilled at just cutting out the emotion, even though when cars on fire, it's like, okay, you think you're indestructible. And I'll openly admit it, I didn't fully appreciate the impact it would make to me and my mental health, retiring from the sport. And then when you throw in that, that back at that point, we just come out of COVID. 5th gear was a bit wonky. There wasn't enough money flying around. The broadcaster went, we're not going to fund that anymore. And that was in almost the same sort of month And then you throw in that I'd taken a bit of a wild ride with some mental investments. And I think it's fair to say I think the only way to say it is they went properly tits up. And then, breakdown of a marriage and all that comes in one go. And all of a sudden I found myself in a situation where I wasn't ready and I wasn't able to fully cope with what I was presented with. And I literally went off the rails. Nearly all ended really grim. And I'm not ashamed to say that. But the good news is, 3 years of hard battling. If I said to you, you probably won't believe it because no one would ever think that of me. I took every mirror down in the house for 7 months. Didn't leave the house for 6 months. It was properly fucked up. So the biggest thing I'm proud about is coming back from, down there. Well, bear in mind, it wasn't that long ago. I had 2 private planes. I was living in Monaco, earning shitloads of money. Had an amazing wife, living the life of Riley for the vast majority of my career. And then all of a sudden it goes tits up. It's pretty hard to come back from that. And guess what? We're back. And now when we tell you what's happening on Sunday,
you must be more proud of that than anything you've done in your life.
Anything else.
I'm so grateful and pleased that you have spoken honestly and openly this evening. We all appreciate it, I'm sure. I'm glad also that this will go out and be listened to by many more people than are in this room this evening. Lots of people will be listening, having struggles in their own life.
Wait, we've all got them. Doesn't matter.
What do you say to them? What do they need to be doing?
Well, the most important thing is you just got to think. Well, the most important thing I learned, and it took me a while to learn it actually, was to actually go and speak to a few people. And I'm very guarded. I saw everything myself, and guess what? I have done. But there's a couple of things that crop up in life where you can't fix it yourself. You need a bit of help and guidance. And I got a bit of therapy and stuff, and that helped. But it helped. I got into the habit of just the phone would ring, and I just literally go,
not interested.
Not interested. Didn't want to speak to anyone. Didn't want to explain it again. So I just shut myself down. I think if you ever find yourself doing that, then you've got to reach out and go and get some help from some people. And you know what? It can happen to the people you least think it could do. Everyone thinks I'm a hard-nosed, absolute arsehole in this game. I'm not. I'm a regular bloke who's just good at what he does and done it a certain way. And we all have our, we all have our weaknesses. But I would say that's probably the most important lesson is to speak to people.
Yeah, it will make
and also never fucking give in.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference to a lot of people hearing you talk like this.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. We've lost. He's a very troubled man, Ricky Hatton, this week.
Yeah.
We lost footballers and all sorts. So you think they have a idyllic lives, but, there's inner demons. And, like I said at the top of this conversation, men, we're shit at talking about
But
stuff.
particularly if you are someone who is, as you are, and have been all your career, completely driven to the exclusion of everything else.
Absolutely.
And you've blocked it all out.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it all goes away. And then everything else piles in on top of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that it clearly was for you.
Yeah,
Be overwhelming.
Hence why I nearly went transvestite.
Right. Before we get in any trouble here.
On that note.
So we are going to do a little Q&A. So please get your questions ready. There will be a roving mic somewhere. I'm sure. There we go, over by the door. Final one from me, though, Jason. Magic wand here. You can't see it. It's magic. I can wave this and give you one more BTCC race championship. So you have 3, like Matt Neal.
Oh, that was a low blow.
Or
How many races you won?
Can't remember.
Perfect.
Yeah, like I know how many you won.
Perfect,
97, isn't it?
or would you take 3 more race wins to get to 100?
Without a doubt.
It's straighthtought for you, isn't it?
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very cool.
Yeah, I don't. The weirdest thing is, I mean, I don't know. You know the stats. I don't. I don't know how many trophies I've got from BTCC. I've got hardly any at home. I'm not interested. They're just bits of plastic or tin, or they're all shit because it's in there. It's the memory. It's the doing it. And the weirdest thing is, As soon as the race is over, and you know, let's say you win and you cross the line, and you know there's the marshal, whoever it is, waves a checkered flag at you. You hear it on the radio, boof. Within 20 meters, all I'm thinking about is PR. Get the hands off, get logos on view. Think about some things which happen in the race which would be humorous or engaging. How can I mention something which happened within the team, which would be great for sponsors? It's just a process. So actually, the enjoyment is actually in the moment. It's not after the moment. It's like the podium thing. It's actually embarrassing sometimes. I'm just not in the mood. I just want to crack on and go and see the engineers and say, right, let's have a look at the data. Let's scrub the tyres. Let's work it all out. So that's weird, don't you think? Don't you think?
It is.
I'm not interested in the elation of it all, when everyone's going, oh, this is
No,
amazing.
but now we've learned
I've moved on
about you and where it comes from.
Makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
Last question from me. It's been fantastic. We haven't even talked about your career as a telepresenter and anything to do with road cars, which I know are a particular passion of yours. Was that, you talked about BTCC, it wasn't fun because it was your job.
Yeah.
Was that the same with television?
I enjoyed it. It was lovely. But it's not like having a fun round of golf with your mates.
Or racing at the Revival.
It's like the difference between having a fun round of golf with your mates versus playing a pro.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
But if you're having a fun round of golf with your mates, you still want to win, don't you?
Of course I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll be high jinks going on. And if no one makes the ladies' tee, I don't mean that in a bad way. If we don't make the ladies' tee, we will, the rules are, pants down, you have to play the rest of the hole naked. and that's strictly enforced.
Good.
Anyway,
I'm glad I learned that this evening.
Trying to put each other off. And I've walked many a golf hole with me. With
your strides around your ankles.
So now we all know, if Jason Plato invites you to play golf, it's a hard no.
Yeah. I'd put
unless you're very, very good indeed.
Two sets of underpants on.
Okay, let's crack on with the Q&A then. If anyone wants to get us started, hand in the air and a microphone will find its way to you.
There's one here and there's one there. Should we go here first because it's on the way?
Jason, thank you very much for being... Is this working?
We are recording it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being so natural and telling us about your life and what's happened to you since you gave up racing. I have one question. Are there any particular cars which you sat in and raced which you just remember now as just being wonderful cars that just you knew were great and really enjoyed?
Yeah, there are a few. I mean, every car's got its day, and every car's got certain circuits where it comes alive and works on. But there are a few cars which just out the box they're just.
Could one of them be a Renault, please?
What the first, I was very fortunate. Joined the best team in the business with the best, teammate I could ever have, and the '97 Laguna was just remarkable. I mean, it was like your best pair of comfy shoes, or your favourite golf club. It just fits, and it was intuitive, and it was just sublime. And the '98 and the '99 car weren't as good because they then started to push the boundaries, and they just fell outside of the little sweet spot. And if I told you that, those cars are so sensitive. We raise the rear ride height 1 millimeter, it fucks it up. Wow. The setup's gone. That's how sensitive they are. Like a quarter turn on the platform should just send the corner weights out, maybe by 3 kilos. Oh, it's a different car. And yet this one, you could just dial it in, and it was just lush.
What was the worst car you ever raced? I mean, I can remember, you won't remember this, but I can remember you and I both tested AS cars for the first time on the same day.
Oh, I feel bilious. It scared the living daylights out of me. Just a vile thing. I mean, they had a thing called a panhard rod. I mean, what the fuck is that?
It's something in the rear suspension.
I mean, what is it? And they had nuts like that. I mean, that's not a racing car, is it? But there's an art to it.
Yeah, I never mastered it.
And because I went over, I'll tell you a humorous story. When I got sacked after winning my first British Championship, I went over to try and do NASCAR because I'd read all the stats. I knew a few people over there, and I thought, hold on, these guys are in $30 million a year. That sounds like a bit of me, that does. And what's more, there's some blokes who are getting on and they wear brogues. We'll have them. So anyway, I went over there, and I was being managed at the time by Julian Jacob, who was Senna's manager. Anyway, Julie didn't come. He sent his right-hand man. And we were introduced to a guy called Fred Wagonals, who owned Action Performance. And he had he made all the trinkets, the merchandise for the drivers, the toy cars. And anyway, he was showing us around on each. Imagine an oval has 4 corners, and we were at Charlotte. Each corner, the big drivers would have an Arctic, which would open up, and all their merchandise in there. It would go and be refilled twice a day. And that's 8 Arctics full going per day. You could buy a gun with Dale Earnhardt's signature at the track down the barrel. I mean, amazing. So anyway, Fred's telling me that how much these guys are earning. And I never forget, we're walking across from one of the outside areas, walking to the way American paddocks are. So they're a bit odd. It's like a big square bit in the middle of the fence round, where some places, some states you go to, it says, please leave your guns at the hut. I mean, discuss. What the hell's that about? And some circuits, that's not there. So that means people are carrying the guns around them. So anyway, as we were walking towards this, Dale was coming over in his big black Goodwrench suit with his big wraparound shades, and he was having a chat with Fred Wagonals. And I was introduced to Dale, and he said, "Yeah, I've seen you. You race some little bitty cars in England, huh?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you over here on vacation?" I said, "Well, yeah, I am, but I want to come and race, NASCAR." And he paused, and no word of a lie, he kind of leant forward. He pulled out his glasses. He said, "Boy," he said, "this ain't no place for puppies. It's where big dogs piss." And I literally thought, this is the funniest bloke alive. So I'm bent over double giggling, and I look up. He wasn't messing around. He's being serious. And literally went, "Hey," and walked off.
Wow.
I can't remember, got to that story. So the NASCAR was the ugliest car I've ever driven in my life. Oh, no, it was an ASCAR.
It was an ASCAR.
God, it was horrible. But a V8 supercar, that was a proper thing where you had to be right on your game. I'll never forget, me and Ivan went and we drove for the HRT, which isn't hormone replacement therapy. It's the Holden Racing team, the works team. And we did our first test at Phillip Island. Mark Scaife and Craig Lowndes jumped in our car and just made sure it was okay. And then Ivan went out first, and I remember watching the times go, he's miles off.
Yeah.
And he came in, he said, "Okay, what is my time like?" I said, "Oh, it's not so good." "Okay, what's the time?" And he was 6 seconds off, and he went, "It's not possible." He said, "Well," and I'm at the back going, "I think you find it is." And I jumped in, I was 6 off.
Yeah.
And I took myself off the loo and had a
quiet word with yourself.
Chat in the mirror.
Yeah.
And we got there in the end, but that's a great car to drive. The Chevrolet I drove when I won the British Championship, that was a really brilliant bit of kit with RML, who are arguably the finest race car constructors in touring cars, probably in the world, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, what have I said?
That's all right.
Oh, dear.
I'm not saying anything.
I think that's okay. Before we get in any more trouble, hands up then. There must be some more questions in the room.
There was a gentleman over there, right at the front row at the far end.
Can I just say I've run out of gin and tonics, and I've got a driver coming. Did anyone fancy going to get
I think
one?
someone's on the case.
There might be a beer
Oh,
over there.
no, I'm joking. No, go on. I'm a bit dehydrated, to be honest.
I don't have a driver coming, sadly. I am the driver.
Ah, well, you see, you should have a chat with Reggie.
Yeah,
Mate,
there
send him
Yeah,
back.
indeed. Next time.
Well, actually, if the truth be known, they sent some bloke in a freaking minibus. I was
I'll
displeased.
put up with that.
So I've summoned my driver and to drive my car, and he's on his way down. So
Excellent.
your driver, we sent him off early, and he's currently doing a few tours with a taxi thing on the top.
Next question.
Please.
Thank you, Jason. It's been really an enjoyable evening. I want you to, if you can cast your mind back into the races you've done before, was there a race where you came maybe second or third?
And what year? Or just
Any year,
any year?
that you thought you could have won if you'd have done something different, or the car had been set up differently?
Always.
Is there one particular you think, I shouldn't have done that?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe gone for the gap that you shouldn't have gone.
Yes, there's quite a few of those, actually, yeah. There was a famous one at Setterton where Turkington left the door open in 2009, and Sayed pulled, financial crash 2008. I just signed a new 3-year deal with SAIT. They pulled the pin, stopped everything, left us all high and dry, which ended up in a court case, but we won't go into that. And RML, me and Ray Malik and a couple of guys there just put this crazy deal together to get together on a race-by-race basis, running in the I think it was a car which they put on the Top Gear test track. It was the Chevrolet Lacetti.
Yeah.
Was that on the Top Gear test
Yeah, it
track?
was. Yeah,
Well,
it
in
was.
racing guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, it was a weapon. It was a proper thing. And that was 2009. I don't know if you've seen on YouTube that where I got whacked up the bum at paddock and I'm completely sideways across the road. And through sheer skill and great looks, I managed to save it. And that year, do you know what? Because it was a race-by-race basis, I just was pushing a bit too hard. I remember I jumped down the inside of Colin at Snetterton, and I kind of knew he was going to close the door because he's a bit like that. I thought, fuck it, see what happens. And guess what? I came off worse. It could have gone the other way, and had it done, I would have won the championship. There's lots of those, yeah. But lots have gone the other way, too, where you have a go.
Who's next?
Hi, Jason. Thank you. You kind of just touched on it, but excuse my ignorance, but you're in a race where you had the car way over 90 degrees to the corner and somehow kept on going, pulled it
Like
back.
I said, it's skill and good looks.
That was going to be my question, your recollections of, if you have any of that particular moment.
Well, do you know what? Honestly, what saved me there was the amount of hooning around we all do as journalists, particularly on Fifth Gear with that mentalist, which is Tiff Needell. Because that's what we did for fun, and we got paid for it. And you become really good and very relaxed when the shit hits the fan, and you end up going backwards in a front-wheel drive car. It's not a problem. Because if you get on the taps
Just
early enough, you'll sort it out. And by and large, we tended to drive on the TV, you know, the upper end of the market with powerful engines and stuff. And you can get yourself out of all sorts of trouble. And honestly, it's down to TV driving, which is a bit strange. But you just become relaxed going backwards, which is a bit strange. But you never become relaxed sat in a car with Tiff. Never.
I think there was another question down at the front.
I punched him at Rockingham inside on TV. I wasn't armed and nervous passenger, which is perverse, but I am. And he was just acting just like, stop it, Tiff. Oh, you know, we're doing 140 mile an hour and he's weaving around. I'm not enjoying this. I said, if you don't stop it, I'm going to hit you. And he I whacked him straight in the jaw. And he kept on going. Oh, here's a question. How old do you think Tiff is?
Oh, it begins with a 7, doesn't it?
Oh, you bastard.
Sorry.
Because most people say 6. It begins with a 6. He's like 76 years old.
No, he's not that old. He's about 72, I think.
70. But he eats a cooked breakfast every morning. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't clean his teeth. He doesn't walk the dog.
Oh, you sure what they're his teeth?
He doesn't, no, well, I don't know who's he are. He does nothing. And yet, he's up, isn't he?
He's still sharp as well.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
still
I mean,
very
he-
bright.
But he goes sideways every day, doesn't he? That's what he does for a
me,
living
he's
down
the
at
best,
Thruxton.
the best TV driver, kind of like, you know.
Yeah, but this is a bloke who's on the podium at Le Mans.
Yes.
You know, he's a professional, like all the people who we think of as being really, really good driver journalists. People like Tony Dron, people like Mark Hales, they actually started as racing drivers.
Yes.
And I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And they're people like you who started as racing drivers and then went over to the media side.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever done it the other way.
Oh, I don't think you can.
No.
I think the level's too high. I mean,
Exactly correct.
bless him, Hammond's tried and look what happened to him. Freddie Flintoff's tried and look what's happened to him. And this is actually quite an important thing, actually. You know, the BBC, well, no, not the BBC, just the whole industry. They've got to realise that. You know, if you want a golfer, a pro golfer, you go and get a pro golfer. And if you want to hoon around on ropes, you go and get a bloke that knows how to hoon around on ropes. What you don't do is you don't put a lunatic cricket player in those situations. Guess what? They have no imagination for when it's about to go wrong.
Exactly.
You can foresee it, which is one of the reasons I'm such a terrible passenger. I can see it miles away. And they can't. And they get revved on, and guess what happens? You've got a great car show in a great brand in Top Gear, dead in the water because they're just not employing the right people.
Do you think that any of that's on him because he was an adult and should have either asked the question or should have known what he was letting himself in, or do you think it was entirely on the BBC because he should never have been put in that situation in the first place?
It's entirely on the BBC. I really do, because it's fun, isn't it? And you know, if you're driving, I don't know, a 2CV or whatever it may be, and you get away with it 3 or 4 times, you're going to get away with it a 4th time. But the problem is he's got no experience of it going wrong. You know, you've had some bangs in cars. I've had loads of bangs. And you know when it feels wrong.
Yeah.
You know. And it was the last shoot of the day. It was, just one more time. And, you know, I won't, I mean, it's religion. Come the end of the day, when everyone's tired, I'll say, right, that's it, over. I'm going home. Oh, no, we've still got, I said, no, you missed your chance. Because that's when shit goes wrong, when people get hurt, and cameramen are tired, and just you know, it's. I don't want to dramatize it, but you know, we're driving around in Ferraris and stuff, and you get hurt yourself, and you got to know what you're doing.
It's not a game.
It's not a game, no. And unfortunately, you know, like Hammond, I'm good mates with Hammond. What did he get in that car for? That bloody rocket thing. I would have never even gone into the same field as it, let alone drive it. Do you know what I mean? It's just mental.
No.
But
I think there is a certain pressure.
There's a
isn't
pressure.
there?
yeah, of course there is.
Pressure.
Of course there is.
You
I
know,
get that.
oh, okay, we understand. No, of course you don't have to do it. But there's a sort of
Black will.
Yeah.
We'll find
It's
someone
a
who
shame.
will.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Please.
So next question.
So the question, Jason, so you're a car guy as well as a racing driver. You're very much in that. So using Dan's magic wand, was it?
Yep,
Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks. So any track, anywhere in the world with any car, could have been one of your racing cars or one of the amazing cars you've driven, what's it going to be?
It's a great question.
Does it have to be something he's already driven?
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm really honest, the Renault Laguna, the 97 Renault Laguna, when we went to Bathurst and raced out around there, oh man, it was unbelievable. Do you know who's got the record around there?
Do you?
Yeah. And I can remember going around in a road car with Didier Dubai, who was our team manager, and Alan Jones, because he drove in the second car. And I can remember just looking out the window. I was in the back looking out the windscreen going, you are joking. What the fucking hell's that? And it's just insane.
It's amazing.
It's a beautiful piece of road. And that car just really worked well there. V8 supercar around there is great. I'd like to drive, although I haven't got the bottle to do it. I'd like to drive a 917 round Le Mans, but that scares the living daylights out of me because they're built out of Dexian, really. You know, they're not very strong.
If it was a road car.
A road car.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be on the track.
Do you know what? I'm a great
Not a
fan of-
Caparo
I'm
T1, I imagine.
Oh, what, sorry?
A Caparo T1.
Oh, no, not that one. No. Ooh, that was awful. I'm a big fan of 911 drive. I've had lots of them and love them to bits. Best car in the world, I believe. I was lucky enough to do a track test on the last series of fifth gear, which wasn't the electric thing. And I tested the new GT3 RS against a Porsche Carrera Cup car on slicks at Anglesey.
Wow.
It was unbelievable how close it was. I mean, literally frightening. Like that, I can
What?
buy
A
this.
couple of seconds?
It was 2.7 seconds a lap. And I wasn't hanging around on slicks. But I could change, driving front-wheel drive cars, you get to understand what a diff can really do. I could change the diff going in, down a fast straight, as a hairpin. I could change the diff and open up what they call the coast ramps. So the diff freewheels on the overrun, if you like. Oh, wallop straight in the corner.
Yeah.
And literally, but then turn it up. Literally, click, six clicks. Turn it up, and it would respond immediately. Then I get loads of traction because it was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And to think you'd literally go and park your money, take it out.
It's a bit of
Incredible
kit,
car.
isn't it?
Oh, it's an amazing bit of kit. And that's the noise.
Was the Caparo the only time you ever got hurt in a car?
Yeah, it was actually, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Amazing how many races you've done in all. I mean, you will have done over 1,000 races, I've no doubt at all.
yeah, I guess so, yeah.
And that's the only time.
I mean,
And it was-
Pride's been hurt a few times, so we take it away. Do you know what? Fucking hell. Touch some wood, people. I was lucky. You know, I've had some close shaves, but
Yeah.
I've never really truly hurt myself, apart from when that Caparo jumped into flames, which was horrific.
Did that cost you a championship?
Without doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Traff, the doctor for BTCC, you can still see the marks now. He wouldn't let me race. And I begged and pleaded. He said, mate, you can't race like that. Yeah, my tendons were hanging out out the back of my hands.
Blimey.
But I soldiered on. But it was horrific. But even then, that's an interesting thing. I was in such pain, but when the lights went out and the race started, the pain just disappeared.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And when the checkered flag came out, it was like a switch.
Yeah.
It's all up here, see?
Well, listen, we need to wrap this one up.
Do we? Any more
Any
questions?
more questions?
I don't appear to have my second drink of the night. I will be making a formal.
Let's take these two questions and
Okay.
then we'll wrap this one up.
Does anyone like Mickey Flanagan?
Absolutely.
Hold on, sister.
Sorry, I
Get
didn't
your
get
checkbook
that.
out, look lively.
I'll listen to a podcast to understand because I didn't understand. Sorry.
Didn't understand the reference.
Mickey Flanagan is a comedian. Do you
No, I
listen
don't know
to
him. Sorry.
Oh, you must.
No, it was just to mention a video that I saw a long time ago from you and Tiff in a 911 Turbo Cabriolet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any?
Generally,
Yeah, so it's just to touch base on what you said earlier. Do you have any more details about the story? Because I really like that video and it makes me giggle every time. So.
Well, that was a pickup shot because we'd broken, Tiff had broken the Audi, right? I say he broke it. It broke when he was in the car. So that was the shot, the shoot abandoned that day. We'd not got to the conclusion. So that 3-4 days later, we had to go back up to Bruntingthorpe, it was, to do like 2-3 hours to finish the shoot off. I was late by an hour. Tiff was not happy. And he set about to really get under my skin. And he did. And he drove like an absolute man possessed. And when you're in a cabriolet doing 170 mile an hour, and you've got that grinning lunatic next to you, and he's in charge of the pedals and the bit in the middle, which the steering wheel, and he's grinning like this, it's not a good place to be. I literally didn't like it. But it made
So that wasn't
the
acting.
thing.
It made really
Eh?
good.
That wasn't acting.
No. I mean, every time I was going, whoa, I generally felt like I was about to die. Because the Cheshire Cat wasn't looking where he was going. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so that was it's hilarious. But yeah,
Well, thank you for that.
he's a
'cause
stinker, that bloke, I tell you.
keeps
Well, let's
entertaining.
take the last question just behind to bring things to a close.
I want to say thank you very much for a really enjoyable evening and some really interesting insights. I just want to know, as someone who's got fairly limited driving talent, do you think different forms of motorsport suit a different set of talents? Are some drivers more adapted to touring cars versus single-seaters? Or the best drivers be able to adapt to anything? So if you put Max Verstappen in a touring car, would he be the fastest? Or
If who, sorry?
if you put Max Verstappen in a touring car, would he be the quickest, or would
He wouldn't be the quickest, he'd be right up there, yeah. I mean, we the best in touring cars would show him, show him how it's done. But he'd
You'd often get Formula One drivers coming into touring cars.
and often they don't.
And
they
they
don't cut
often,
the mustard.
yeah.
Yeah. I think yes, there are drivers who suit disciplines, but I do think the world's best are the world's best, and it doesn't matter really what you throw at them; they'll suss it out. I mean, Sebastian Loeb in a Sebastian Loeb in a rally car was sublime. There's a highly autistic man.
Really?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, but in a good sense.
Yeah.
But he learned how to drive a touring car and became really very good. I think you could put Schumacher in a touring car. I think you put Jensen, you could put Lewis, you could put any of those. It'd take a while because they're quirky bits of kit, but it's only, at the end of the day, it's a blob of metal, 4 bits of rubber held on springs. It moves around, and you just and to understand how that weight can screw you up, or how you can use it. And that's really the art of driving a racing car, or driving any car, a road car. It's not the pedal on the right, it's not the pedal on the left, it's the one in the middle. That's what makes you quick, because that has the biggest influence over the weight distribution of the car. If you get in a Ferrari, the fastest Ferrari ever, and you hit the throttle pedal in first gear, you'll get a surge, but hit the brake pedal as hard as you can at 100 mile an hour, you go to the windscreen. So the brake pedal has the most effect on the pitch and the diagonal change of a car. And what's more is you can hold that weight where you want it to be. You know what I mean? Whereas with acceleration, it decays away, obviously. But the brake is where it's at. The best guys are the best on the brakes.
That's the skill. That's the skill.
I honestly think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's as simple as that. And if you imagine, you get, when you occasionally drive an automatic car, and you don't tuck your other leg away, and you hit with your left leg, you hit the brake pedal, and you nearly go to the windscreen. We've all done it, haven't we? Well, that's someone who doesn't know how to use a brake pedal. But when you really know how to use the brake pedal, that's when the magic happens. That's what it is. Anyone can push the throttle down. That's my opinion. That's what I think.
Well, listen, thanks for those questions. Thank you all for being here. To Renault for making this evening possible. Yep. Thank you. And finally to Jason, it's been really good fun. Really enjoyed listening to you talk, the stories, your honesty, your openness. So thank you. And everyone, please, a round of applause for Jason Plato.